I love it. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Tara.
Guess what we're doing?
What are we doing?
We're doing a new podcast, and it is called Big Fucking Deal with Tara and JoJo, because why not? Why not? It's on brand for us. There's so many BFDs happening in our lives that why not turn it into an entire program. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the first edition of BFD with Tara and JoJo. We're thrilled to have you guys join us. Joe, I think it's important for people to know why we're here, what we're doing. We've got a great show for you guys lined up. We've got a great guest. We've got our first guest this week is my good friend, Denver Riggleman. We're going to talk all about this Tulsi Gabbard trying to steal the elections and like Italian satellites bullshit that's going on. And Denver's a great guest for that. But we're talking about some other stuff this week too, Joe.
Yeah, so many other things. And first and foremost, this is so exciting for me because I love you. You're near and dear to my heart. And you're just an absolute badass. And we've gotten to know each other over the course of the last year. And it's been a gift, truly, because you are one of the inspirations for me forever, even using my voice to advocate for our democracy and against fascism. And we are in an extraordinary moment in this time, as everyone knows. And there are so many moving parts. Steve Bannon flood the zone with shit. There is so much going on that is really easy to feel overwhelmed. And the way to navigate that is to talk about it, to talk to each other, to have conversations with each other. It is meant to overwhelm us. It is meant to disconnect us. It is meant to divide us. It is meant to make us feel disheartened. And when we talk about it, we take that power away. So I can't think of a person I would rather talk to about it, but we have the same Jersey girl energy and we have the same love for the promise of this country. And we have the same ideas about not letting the right co-opt our patriotism, our flag, our love of country, our protection for democracy, our family fucking values, right?
Yes.
So I'm excited.
F-bombs and all.
F-bombs and all. And look, like, this is going to be real. This is going to be human.
Yes.
This is going to be two people who care about each other and about this country and about this democracy of ours very deeply. And as Tara often says, we are not going to let democracy die on our watch. And so we're here to have these conversations every week with incredible guests who are going to bring their perspectives and their expertise, but to talk to each other about all the big fucking deals that are going on right now, because there's a lot.
Yes. And it's also like our homage to Joe Biden, who we still love and adore. And everyone, if you guys remember, the BFD came from the day that Obamacare was passed into law at the signing ceremony when Joe Biden whispered into the ear of Barack Obama, "This is a big fucking deal." And thus the BFD was born. So it's our little homage to Uncle Joe, because unfortunately, I think his legacy and, the way that Donald Trump has just disrespected him. But, Joe Biden's life of service to this country and his heart and his, what he's endured, what their family has endured, the resilience. Joe Biden deserves better than how things have ended. And also, we, of course, wish Joe Biden, long life and health, given he's battling cancer. So there was just a lot of layers, and it all worked and came together for us. And Joe gets to curse on her podcast. Are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, but this is a big fucking deal. So this is a way to marry both of those things together. And I'm so happy to be able to do this with you and to be a part of the Siren and what you're building. I'm super proud of you. And I'm excited for what we're going to build here with this and talk about what our BFDs are. So of course, we're going to be heavy on politics, because how could we not? Yeah. But there's also a lot of other things that we talk about. We also all need a reprieve from politics sometimes, just have a good laugh at things. We need to sometimes just talk about big deals in culture or what's happening in our lives. So we're going to mix it up. We're going to mix it up because it can't just be heavy all the time. We're going to mix it up. But on today's show, and thank you for your kind words, Joe. You know how I love you, and we're going to have a good time. We also want to make sure that you guys, because I know that a lot of you guys, like to interact with us. So, during the course of the show, put in what you think is a big effing deal for you. What's your BFD for the week? We want to hear from you. And we'll put up some of your comments toward the end of the show as we get to those things. But our first segment is going to be with my good friend and now Joe's new BFF, because I knew that her and Denver would get along, former Congressman Denver Riggleman. He was the technical advisor for the January 6th committee. He is a Air Force veteran. He is a intelligence guy. He's an expert on extremism, and he's also big into Bigfoot.
No.
I didn't know that.
Oh, we could have a whole other show about Bigfoot erotica, but that's a whole.
Wait, Bigfoot erotica? Wait, that just escalated quickly. Wait,
Denver wants to kill me.
Too quickly. Too quickly.
That's what she said.
No, it's a running joke. We'll yes, nice. I'm usually better on it.
I got it. I was on it. Like stink on a monkey, yeah. Like Bigfoot.
Yeah. We have brought Denver on today not to talk about those things. That's Denver After Dark. We'll talk about those things another day. But I know.
Okay.
Listen, that's how he
as soon as I get on,
career.
People get very hot when I get on. It's crazy.
Oh my God. Like, why would anyone want to talk about Tulsi Gabbard and stealing elections at this point now when we could talk about Bigfoot erotica? No, all jokes aside. Denver, I am thrilled that you are our first guest because all the reasons, but also because some of the big news over the last week while you were gallivanting in Greenland, doing what you do, the story broke about Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, nationalizing elections, the freaking unleash the Kraken bitches theory about like Italian satellites and Venezuelan smartmatic machines. All of this has resurfaced. And it's like, Jesus, we're living in a freaking simulation. It's like a bad version of the Matrix here with these people. And so I'm like, you know who knows a lot about this? Denver knows a lot about this. Why? Because like I said in the beginning, you not only were a former congressman, but you also have a company that specializes in data collection and intelligence. And you were you and your team, technical advisors for the January 6th committee. And you guys were all in the details of the text messages and who said what to whom and the whole plot. And you wrote a book called The Breach, which also is there. There you are. You're back. You wrote a book called The Breach that where you have a whole chapter about some of this craziness. And I just think it's important for people to A, understand what's at stake, and B, that these people are serious. There it is. If you guys have not read it, please go read The Breach, even though it came out, 2-3 years ago now. It's
probably more relevant today.
It's very relevant. So, Den, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about like when you saw that Tulsi Gabbard was present at this FBI raid of the Fulton County election office. I know you probably went, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it's like when we were looking at the January 6th stuff, I want to tell you guys that her being there goes back to something called Executive Order 13848, right? So people need to realize there's executive orders out there that talk about foreign interference in elections, and it gives some implied authorities. Now, let me just put it bluntly. Tulsi Gabbard was there as a foreign intelligence collection agency. If you think about ODNI, DNI, she was there, I would say, under the implication that there's foreign interference, which means that that's what they were going to use back in 2020, 2021 to seize voting machines. So you're talking about something that's pretty specific and what their game plan is. And you guys can ask me any question. I almost wish we had a town hall on this, which is where we're live now. So it's sort of a town hall. And anybody can ask me anything on this. But past performance is indicative of future performance. And when I wrote Executive Disorder, which was chapter 11 in the breach, it looked like the game plan of the best and easiest way to actually attempt to use process to steal elections, not bizarre Italian satellites or servers or hammer and scorecard from NSA or Chinese ballots, or when Jenny Thomas said that they had special markings, on ballots that could only be read by special, technology readers from the National Guard, which was in the text messages for Meadows. There were literally, I would think there were 12 major conspiracy theories surrounding January 6th. But the one that I think would be most effective is to claim foreign interference or deep state interference, then use the national agencies to seize voting machines or to slow roll voting, or to use legal challenges downstream to stop the midterms or to stop other elections. It's in there, but that is why Tulsi Gabbard was there. And it should be something that is impeachable immediately for the president. But of course, we have an insane administration right now.
And I think one of the reasons I'm so glad that because Tara and I talked about this offline, this story's not getting enough attention. In part, this is the infamous photo, right? We saw this photo first, and then the questions came as to, hold on, what on earth is the DNI doing at a Fulton County election center? That doesn't make any sense, right? But this story's not getting the kind of attention that it really deserves, I think, in large measure because people don't really understand it, but also because the 2020 election, which is the guise that they're using here, has been litigated and relitigated. But there's also so many moving parts to it. And of course, there's all the implications of this, and they can't keep up with their own stories. So first, Todd Blanche came out and was asked immediately, like, what was Tulsi Gabbard doing there? This is extremely unusual. Oh, was she there? Oh, maybe she stopped by. Like, she was probably getting a hamburger in the neighborhood, essentially, was what he said. And then you had her send a letter to Congress saying that she was sent by Trump himself. And then Trump comes out and says, oh, no, Pam Bondi was the one who sent her there. And it's the right? They're running around in a circle, but they're expecting that all of us will just move on and that this is no big deal. We don't even yet know what they're going to use this for specifically. We don't even know if it's going to actually relate to 2020 or if, to your point, this is intended to interfere with 26 and beyond. And so, like, they're expecting us to tire of it. But, like, can we talk about, again, and just to pick up where you put it, the implications potentially on even the midterms and beyond in terms of our elections?
Oh, I think we know, by the way, Den. I think we know, to JoJo's point, what they plan to do with it because they pretty much laid out the blueprint, right?
They did. I mean, you guys have heard of, NSPMs, or if you've heard of specific types of executive order or presidential memorandums. They were trying to build a presidential memorandum back in 2021 to seize voting machines and to have NSA and national intelligence agencies take over our voting. This was being circulated. So that's why you see Tulsi Gabbard cosplaying as Claire Danes from Homeland, right? In that photo, right? I mean, what the hell? I mean, you're an idiot, right?
Yeah.
You're an idiot, right? It's just incredible to me that we're allowing a DNI to gallivant around, and she's wearing a cap and sneaking and peeking around the corner, and she's on her cell phone and she's striking poses to make sure that somebody gets the proper photo of her so she can put it on her social media. I mean, that's really what's going on. So you have these national presidential memorandums that are put out about what they should do downstream. There's also going to be something that's crazy here. And I hope people are thinking about this. Trump could use this to exonerate himself, saying that he actually won the election, that he's actually in his third term. So the Constitution doesn't apply anyway. So now you're looking up setups for running again also, right? So there's this downstream effect where it sort of blows up our entire institutional process for elections if he can say that the 2020 election was stolen based on conspiracy theories or a DNI. The other thing, too, is that if it's said that there was foreign interference and you're looking at 2028, we look at the presidential election. What if this downstream begins what they try to do in 2028, which is actually objecting to the electors and taking it back to the House of Representatives? Now, that's why they're worried about the House. They're worried about the midterms because that stops in 2028 an electoral process where the House of Representatives takes over the voting if the electoral votes are thrown out. And as you guys know, if Pence would have not certified the election, President Trump would have won that election because the House of Representatives would have voted him back in. And I was like, wait a minute, Denver, how's that possible? There were no Democrats. No, the votes are based on the state's representation and majority representation. So it doesn't matter if California has 20 more Democratic congressional representatives, it only counts as one vote. I think there were 26 states or 27 states with a Republican majority and 23 states with a Democratic majority. Liz would have voted against it, but she was voted out. But you're talking about it would have been a 27-23 or 26-24 election for Trump if Pence would have actually thrown that out. So I don't think people realize, and that's why when you look at all the things that could happen downstream, this is the whole setup. This is happening right now. It's already been done. The playbook's already been written. So that's what you're seeing right now. They're just trying to get in front of it now.
Dan, I think not enough people remember what all the different things that they tried to pull to throw that election to Trump. And because there was so much happening, right? It was the Steve Bannon flood the zone, or as I say, the fire hose of fuckery around this was constant because it went from the ridiculous, right? The fucking four-star landscape, Four Seasons landscaping debacle and freaking the hair dye thing going on with Rudy Giuliani to the Unleash the Kraken craziness and the crackhead pillow guy in the Oval Office. Like, you had all of those crazy characters, but so people were like, what? But meanwhile, you also had the fake elector schemes happening in multiple states, as we saw. We also had what was going on inside the Congress, where you had Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert and all these people who were all part of the Stop the Steal bullshit and the January 6th lead up. I mean, like, there were so many. Then you had what was going on in the Department of Justice. Then you had the murder-suicide pact that was happening, right? Politically in the White House counsel's office. Like, if you fire this person to place them with this person, we'll all quit at the same. I mean, there were so many things going on around the January 6th, 2020 election stuff in those 72 days that we forgot about how close it came. If Mike Pence had not done if Mike Pence had not done this, and
there's no Mike Pence anymore.
Right, there's no Mike Pence. We've now got the couch guy.
We're post Pence.
We are post.
Yes.
We're post fly. Post Pence fly.
Yes.
No, I think there's other things too. I don't think people realize too the downstream effect. It's not just, there's other ways that could have been overturned. Now, the other thing is if he had objected to the electors to those states, it could have automatically reverted to where the electoral votes were thrown out. Trump wins. If it goes to the House of Representatives, Trump wins. If it goes to legal challenges, Trump stays president until the legal challenges are actually satisfied. Yeah. Trump wins. Now we're in a constitutional crisis. All of this was soft coup maneuvering. The violence that happened that day on January 6th was actually a lever point, what he was hoping for. And this is a guess now. Now you're talking about Denver. Now I'm putting on my intelligence course of action hat. Is he thought if he could occupy the Capitol, it would give him a negotiation tactic, like our guys won't leave until this happens, right? And I think that's what was going on there. And I think the National Guard slow roll, which was incompetence, and I can go into that had really nothing to do with conspiracy theories. It had to do with a very, I would say, inexperienced, as you guys remember, Chris Miller, and you guys like, oh shit, I think people forget this stuff, right? Chris Miller was the acting SecDef. He had no reason being there. He didn't have the experience to do it. And him and the Secretary of the Army, McCarthy, not Leader McCarthy, the Secretary of the Army, they had a pissing match on who actually controlled the concept of operations. So orders wasn't getting passed. They weren't even on the same email.
But that was on purpose because they tried to put Kash Patel. Remember, they wanted to put Kash Patel as head of the CIA, and then they said no effing way. And then they tried to put him over at the Department of Defense. And wasn't he over at the DOD at the time with the whole Chris Miller thing?
He was the chief of staff for Miller.
That's right.
So yeah, so you had this whole effect of confusion, wrong email servers. The National Guard general thought they were insane. He didn't understand why they weren't actually doing it. But the Secretary of the Army was mad at the Secretary of Defense. You had Chief Sund, who ignored intel. He tried to rewrite his history in his book. That's bullshit. You had everybody you had a Capitol Police Board that was actually incompetent, which is sadly Pelosi owns some of the Capitol Police Board, but that's different from actually doing the law enforcement execution. Everybody got that confused in conspiracy theories when it was crippling incompetence. The thing is that the Trump team was taking advantage of that crippling incompetence and could rewrite history with conspiracy theories by back-channeling all that. Anyhow, that's to say, we've already seen this playbook. And I'm not surprised by it. I said January 6th was just a practice run. That's really what it was. If they succeeded, great. If not, they wouldn't. And I'll end with this, and you guys ask me anything. I was in the deposition with Enrique Tarrio.
That fucking
As everybody knows, the Proud Boy, right, who is now pardoned and maybe a member of ICE, who knows. So here's the thing. What he said there, what he learned from Roger Stone after all this happened was you have to fight it from the inside, not the outside. Mm-hmm. And now that you see the administration, there's no sanity. It's all loyalists and sycophants. It's the crazies and the conspiracy theorists. It's the criminals and the cynics. All of these individuals are now in control of the levers of government. We have no safety net. It does not exist. Our institutions are failing. When you're looking at the Supreme Court and things of that nature, an emasculated Congress. I mean, think about it. It's insane. My biggest fear is that people just don't realize the danger of how process, not technology, just simple, confused process can actually change an election. You don't need Italian satellites or broken algorithms or Chinese ballots, right? Or hammer and scorecard from NSA or German server farms. You don't need any of that, right? Or burning ballots in white vans. That's all bullshit. All you have to do is change the process, destroy the institutions, call into question through legal lawfare, and an election can be stopped. Lastly, I'm sorry, I got one last thing. I had somebody tell me, like, Denver, they can't change every single place, every vote. Nope, they just need to do the swing districts. It actually, they can actually target their resources to maybe only specific swing districts in order to blow the whole election where you don't have to touch everything else, right? And people know there's 435 districts. There's probably only 60 to 7 swing districts that actually make a difference. That's only in specific number of states. So anyhow, it's a very directed and targeted operation towards destroying the process and the confidence in our elections. It's not this big bullshit type of technical, stupid, impossible type of changing votes with satellites or hacking and all that crap. Anyway, there you have it. Denver Riggleman's rant of the day.
But two questions I would have, and I would guess a lot of people have. First of which would be, okay, what do we do about it, right? Like, because it's one thing to identify that the call is coming from inside the house, and it's another question to answer what the fuck we can do about it, right? So there's that. And then there's all of this stuff that Pam Bondi's out there doing with voter rolls and like a nice little city you have here. We'll take our ICE agents out if you just, give us all your voting data, and red states have already complied, and lots of blue states, most often, not all blue states, have said fuck off. Is that also part of this whole strategy, and what can they do with those? So I guess we'll do that part of the question first, and then give me some hope. Brother, please give me some hope about what we can do to somehow be a bulwark to this.
Well, you brought up something, Joe, that I should have mentioned, and that, listen, the Republicans right now have to win with subtraction, not addition. It's disenfranchisement, right? So when you're talking about Pam Bondi demanding voter rolls, another easy process way is just don't let people vote. This isn't rocket science. And I tell people again, it's process over technology, always. So that was a great point about Bondi and the extortion demands for voter rolls. It's insane, especially when you're talking about federalism. Now, of course, people are like, well, is it constitutional for the federal government to overtake states? In some respects, yes. I know people are like, God, it's not, but you need to read it, right? It's generalized, it's subjective, right? If they don't think the states are doing the right thing, the federal government can step in. I mean, it's sort of right there. And is the state supposed to, based on the Constitution? Yeah. Is there a back door out for the federal government to come in if they can claim, think about again, if they can claim some kind of trickery going on with elections? Yeah, they can. Sorry, guys. I mean, how are you going to stop them? The Supreme Court going to stop them? No. But here's the good thing. And you're like, thank God. The governors have to step up. If they don't, we're screwed. Number one, we're done. They have to fight with everything they got. Okay, that's number two, overwhelming voter force. Right? The other thing too is, you guys know how much I hate gerrymandering. I've been very specific about it. When the Republicans said they were going to do that in Texas, you had this downstream effect with California and things like that. In my home state here in Virginia, it's going to probably be a 10-1 or 9-2 map if it gets to the Virginia Supreme Court. The hardest thing I've had to deal with, and Tara's going to go, I know, Denver, what he's going to say here, is my hate for gerrymandering is so white hot. And then I think, but is that the only way? Do we have to fight fire with dynamite? And now I start to get afraid. Where does that lead us if we do that? But I don't see any other way out except for Democratic governors, and maybe if there's any Republican governors left that are sane or afraid, or I don't think there are. I don't know if they exist. I think maybe Indiana might have had some sanity when they rejected the maps. But Joe, I think the only thing to do is the Democratic governors have to stand up and fight with everything they have not to release voter rolls to make sure the states keep control of their own election abilities. But I also think there's got to be overwhelming force with maybe fighting dynamite with fire. And I hate to say it, people know how I feel about it. And it's been rough on me, man. Been rough, because I'm like, I hate gerrymandering. I think it's so anti-democratic. But what if anti-democratic forces are using it? Do we have to use it in order to make sure the anti-democratic forces don't win? And then where does that lead us? And I think we have to. I mean, we're almost to that point, I think. Again, that's where we're at.
Dan, that you and I both struggle with this because we both come from a right of center worldview when it came to politics until this, insane era of Trump came along. But like, I feel the same way when I talk about the Supreme Court, when I talk about the Supreme Court and people who are like, we need to expand the court, or when they talk about we need to get rid of the filibuster, like the institutionalist in me goes like, no, because I worry about the slippery slope effect of that, the tit for tat. But it's like, okay, at what point though do you have to deploy tactics that have the same impact, if not more, than what's being deployed against you? And the metric that I always use is you don't want to become what you despise. But we have the facts and we have the right side of history on our side when we deploy those tactics. As long as it's legal and constitutional, I feel like we need to do whatever it takes to fight back. And I wouldn't look at it like as like gerrymandering, for example, as being, something that's unconstitutional or like that you hate. It's as long as it's a legal tool we can use, we don't have to like how it started. We don't have to like what the results were before, but as long as that's a tool that we can use back, if they're going to use it and it's legal, well, as long as it's legal, we're going to use it too. So that's the fuck around and find out part of Democrats now who are fighting back, like the tactics that Gavin Newsom is using or JB Pritzker. And now we're seeing it, I'm like, great. Democrats need to let their balls drop and start punching back. If you're allowed, listen, if it's a fight, you can bite and it's legal, bite back.
You know what the feeling is to both of you is, and I know it's hard to believe with my incredibly slim physique. I used to be a bouncer, and at 5'7", I might have been the shortest bouncer in Charlottesville, Virginia at the time, right?
Yeah, but lower center of gravity, man. The lower center of gravity.
Yeah, well, the football, powerlifting, all that. But I think I remember I was in a bar fight a few. Shoot, I was like, what?
One of many.
One of many. But I remember, you get knives pulled on you and guns and things like that. I've had both of those happen. You don't sit there. I think the rules go out in a bar fight, to your point. And I think right now we're in the bar fight for America. And I think that's why I'm like, if that's where we're at, where that's the only way to stop this insanity, when you look at Chip Roy bringing back the Sharia panic of the, Muslim Brotherhood Obama days from the Tea Party days, when that's now back on the floor as a law, or them wanting to vote on it. We have conspiracy theorists that are absolutely exploding across across our congressional representation. Tim Burchett said there's, 5 or 6 underwater bases with aliens, right? And so we got crazy. So if you got that, if you have that kind of insanity, right? How do we fight back? Maybe this is a bar fight where we have to use everything, that we have at our disposal. And that is where I'm at.
I thank you, and I agree with you, and I agree with you, Tara. I think people are tired of the Democrats showing up to this, blowtorch fight with a butter knife. Strongly worded letters about avocados from Mexico. I think people have had it. Like
in your beers,
right? Like we don't always need to be the adult in the room. You know what I mean? Like it used to be when they go low, we go high, and now bullshit, right? Like no,
the fight doesn't start till they get on the floor.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think that we've seen this in the elections and the special elections where the Democrats have overperformed and that they're winning even in Trump districts on a local level. You will often hear, if you're new to us, if you're new to this, welcome, but you will hear us talk often about the importance of state and local elections. Denver, you made the point about the governors are going to be very important here. And for people who are, national politics dominates all the time, but what actually impacts your day-to-day life is what happens at the state and local level. So this year, if there's a governor's race in your state, make sure you know who the hell is running and who you're voting for. Same thing with Secretary of State and Attorney General. These are important, important, important positions because Donald Trump and his people are going to try to pull some shit. And we already know that 10th Amendment, states' rights, Article 1 versus Article 2 roles, all of these things are going to come into play. They are going for it at every level. I saw someone in the comments say, "Oh, great, we're telling governors to fight the feds now." Yes, under the Constitution. That's why we have a separation of powers.
Federalism.
Exactly.
Federalism. They are the bulwark.
I mean, I'm not trying to listen when we
They're
say
the first
fight,
line of defense here.
Yeah.
When you say fight, I think people are like, "Oh my God, violence," and I get it, right? People, maybe automatically go there in the head. So there's some grace there when people say, "Oh, we're going to fight." But yeah, if you're talking about fighting at a constitutional level, 100%, you've got to push back at every level. And if you have National Guard or ICE troops being deployed to your town under false premises or pretenses, and you have that kind of violence happening, at some point the governors have to say, based on me protecting my constituents, we have to act. Especially, when you see, a Renee or an Alex being killed, you get this feeling that maybe we're to a point where we can't have insanity and incompetence being part of the American experiment. And that's what's happening right now.
Because in the words of someone who I admire and love, stupidity is terminal.
Thank you. I'm so flattered. Oh, I love hearing that.
That is one of
Stupidity is
Denver's
terminal.
greatest one-liners.
Yeah, stupidity is terminal. I mean, that's the issue, right? But the issue about stupidity and the terminal issues with stupidity is sometimes it happens to others, right? And there's another thing too that I want to tell people, and I hope you take this correctly. Stupidity and evil can be the same thing, and that is the thing that has scared me the most. We had this saying in the militaries, if you get shot on purpose or shot on accident, you're still getting shot. It doesn't matter, right? And I think stupidity, especially when you see the lack of talent, from the Randy Fines to the to the Andy Biggs, to the Chip Roys, to the Tim Burchetts, right? When you look down the line at that lack of talent and their conspiratorial natures, these are the people actually writing policy and laws. How many laws we have now banning chemtrails, right? So those are the people that are really in charge. And I think when you have conspiracy theorists who believe that there's sky fairies floating around directly, telling them what to do, that's pretty crazy. And I think we're in real trouble going into the midterms, not because I think the Democrats are polling great, but I think that you're going to see more and more implications of violence that's going to make some of this other stuff we've seen look small.
Well, that's not encouraging, Den. Jesus.
Well, I'm just telling what people to look out for. I'm not saying it's 100%, but I am saying, I think when you look at the instigation of violence, or when you're looking at Alex and Renee, when you're looking at what ICE is doing, you're also looking at people saying, right, that, Tulsi's correct. I think if you're looking at the bot farms on X, when you're looking at malign influence operations, the ignorant are very, very easy to mine. And right now we have this mining operation going on, not only for their money, but for their minds. They're mining their money and their minds. So that bothers me, right? Because disinformation is a very powerful tool.
There's mine on the money and the money on the mind.
They want us stupid, and they want us not to be informed, which is another reason why they're buying up all of the social media and legacy media, etc. Pete Hegseth coming out saying they're breaking away from Harvard and these education programs. There they want low information voters, they want low information troops, they want lots of people disconnected from the reality of what they're doing. So that is incredibly important, and we need to keep sounding the alarm on that. Plus, they're also snatching up something we're going to talk about a little bit later, snatching up all these warehouses for ostensibly
concentration camps,
correct. Yes. And if anybody out there thinks that those concentration camps are going to be for the people you don't like, then newsflash.
You're right.
How it works.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, I know this is BFD, right? But I want to say this, it's a BFD, it's a big fucking deal. Right, whether it's on accident or purpose, it seems like everything that's happening right now, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard or there's violence, which could lead to the Insurrection Act, right? everything that you're saying seems to be pointed towards some way to delay, disrupt, deny the 2026 midterms. And people just need to have their head on a swivel, look at what's happening. Is it 100%? No. Is it above 50%? Maybe, right? So that's what I want to let people know. Just don't be crazy. Don't scream into a popcorn box. Don't run around naked, covered in your own feces, thinking that the election is going to be stolen in 2026. What I'm telling people, though, is to keep your head on a swivel, look at things in the data, but also realize that this has happened before. You're looking at the same playbook. It's just more violent now, and it's more directed because of the people surrounding him. There's no sane voices around him. It is just a bunch of Rasputin crazy whisperers running around the White House right now.
Which is
And
why,
pedophiles.
and pedophiles, which Joe's going to talk about. We're going to get into that after we let Denver go. The craziness and the Epstein files and Ghislaine Maxwell and all of what's happening there, because you want to talk about a global cabal. My God. Before we let you go, Den, I just wanted to switch gears really quickly because we have you. Two things. You were recently overseas. You were in Greenland. And there are some things happening in Europe that is, I kind of feel like it's encouraging to see that the Europeans are like, listen, if we need to step up and defend ourselves against the United States, we're prepared to do that. I think that's a wake up call, but it's a shame that that's even happening. But it's encouraging to see that they're not folding. But the other thing, and I know that Joe and I had talked about this before, what the hell is going on with Iran? We just saw, and I think we have the story for those who don't know. Trump again is saber rattling with Iran, and they've just sent a huge armada over there and over 112 C-17s over to the Middle East that are like Operation Desert Storm levels. What is happening? What is going on over here?
First, I want to tell everybody that Buzz Patterson is a shit poster. Number one. He's a freak of nature, not in a good way. Yeah. Number two, there are certain things happening in the Middle East, as you referred to, that are concerning. But I think a war with Iran is a very good thing for Trump right now, as far as he needs it, and that's what's scary, is putting Americans in harm's way. Yeah, and I think that's part of it too.
It's a wag the dog situation, right?
Yeah, but I also think that he has people around him. I think there's a lot of business interests that are actually pushing what he needs to do in specific parts of the Middle East. I mean, there's a lot of goodness that can happen with some of our new partners with an Iranian situation, especially with money coming for oil and things like that. If you saw what happened in Venezuela, again, past performance is indicative of future performance. I keep saying that, but just see what he's done in the past. It's the same thing. Plus, he knows that all the lies they told about destroying their nuclear capability are those it's coming home to roost, right? All that's happening too. And the first question with Greenland, and I know that you guys got to get to other things. The first thing with Greenland and Denmark, when I was there, boy, what an eye opener! I actually got to go to the homes of Greenlanders and the Danes, and there was an influencer there named Orla Jolison, who's an incredible individual. He's almost like the unelected mayor of Greenland. And I was able to get into homes, and boy, the discussions, my gosh, guys, eye-opening, especially when you find out there's 35,000 long rifles. I don't know if you guys know this. You can buy any type of rifle in Greenland. And they like to hunt seals, and they're crack shots. They're very, very good, almost sniper quality in some respects. A lot of former military there. 35,000 long rifles with 56,000 people, and that's what they've counted. And they said if Americans were to come into the streets from President Trump, they would defend their homeland to their death. Boom, there you go. They also said in their homes that it wasn't that they hated Americans. They love Americans. We were their oldest brothers. But Trump is destroying our country, and there's no way they can support a country that's led by that man. And, they said the same things, which was really interesting. They did call him a rapist. They did call him a felon. They did call him a criminal. They called him crazy. The word they used the most was madness. They said the madness of the United States and what happened to our big brother. So that's where we're at. So you have all this foreign policy, geopolitical collapse of trust in the United States, but you also have us putting other people in harm's way, and you have Europe coming together. Denmark and Greenland just signed an agreement for medical care. Greenland and Denmark used to be a little bit separated. As you know, there's colonialism issues. We have brought Europe together. and you can see it happening. And good for Europe, but what's happening is we're losing all of our soft power. It's gone.
Right.
We're a pariah country now, mostly in EU and NATO, and they're just hoping somebody takes the place of Trump sooner rather than later. There you go.
Amen to that.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, my
Well,
God.
I'd say that the idea that we can piss off both the Canadians and the Greenlanders is a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
How in the hell? You
My
know?
God.
I
But
mean,
don't worry,
who's
because Trump's
next?
going to cancel ice hockey.
Right.
You
He's
know
going to
what? I
cancel
mean,
ice hockey and to hell with the Olympics. We're going to talk about that too
Yeah,
later
yeah.
on in the
probably
show.
going to piss off Bahamians next, right? We'll be in the we
Yeah.
can't go to the Bahamas anymore.
Seriously.
Well,
You know?
I mean, it's
there's penguins out there who don't even want us now because
And the penguins. Yeah. Those penguins,
idiots.
Joe.
you gotta
Those
laugh.
penguins out
Oh
there.
my God. For those who don't
Greenland.
know, there are no penguins in Greenland. They
There's no
only
penguins.
exist down in the Antarctic.
Yeah.
So, but make
It's
America
insane.
stupid again.
Stupid again. Yeah.
Good Lord. Well,
Make America go away is what Greenland calls it. Make
Yes.
America go away. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
make
it's-
America
it's-
go away.
I'm just glad you guys had me. I mean, I feel a bit honored. I'm very honored that I'm your guest, and thank you for the opportunity. It's just awesome. You two are great, and just keep going out there and swinging the baseball bat. I don't think there's two better individuals on earth, right? That do this. No, you guys are great. You've been through it. You're smart. You're savvy. You're incredibly knowledgeable, but most of all, you guys have a moral compass, I think, that's unskewed in any way. And I think that's the most important thing is your soul and your heart and what you're doing. And just what an honor to be here today.
Well, you're gonna make me
Aw.
ugly cry when
We
you say
love
things like
you.
that.
Thank you,
Yep.
Denver.
But send us some of that Bigfoot erotica, okay?
Yes, that's
Yeah, we
next
can
time.
we can go into Bigfoot erotica and disinformation, Joe. Disinformation.
I'm thinking of that. Remember that guy that Trump? He's got a big position now, maybe at the UN. The big square-headed guy. What was his name? The one with the toilets and the Bigfoot conspiracy.
Stephen Chung.
No, that he was one. No, not that big-headed guy. No, this
you
one
got to be more specific
from
here.
season
Joe.
1 of the shit show. God, what was his name? He looked kind of like Frankenstein, big bald guy. He had him for his temporary AG. Damn it.
Oh, toilet salesman guy. The
Yes.
toilet Jim Schultz?
No, I think it begins with an F.
Oh no.
Goddamn.
Yeah, no, not Jim Schultz. No, I know who
He's
you're
in the
talking about.
administration now. I think he's got a position with
He
the
was
UN or
he was
NATO.
like the acting attorney general for a minute.
Yes.
Matt
Whitaker.
something? Whitaker. Matt
Remember
Whitaker.
him?
Oh, Matt Whitaker. Oh,
He's
that
a Bigfoot guy. He's a Bigfoot guy. Remember?
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Like, I
Google
don't, just everybody on here, I don't believe in Bigfoot. There's a lot of layers here. Okay? There's a lot
Yes.
of layers. Okay? I
We're
just want
gonna-
people to know.
We're
don't
gonna leave them on a
Google-
cliffhanger. We're gonna
Yeah,
leave them on a
don't put-
cliffhanger.
Don't put me and Bigfoot into Google Images.
Jesus God, you guys.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
But what we
No.
will do though, since you have been so incredibly nice and kind to us, I will like to say that not only is Denver just an all-around fantastic person, and he would be one of my number one draft picks if we were ever into a kinetic situation in this country. First round draft pick, Denver Riggleman. Yes, Denver and his fabulous wife, his hooch mama, as he calls her, own an incredible distillery called Silverback Distillery in Afton, Virginia, and also in the Poconos in Pennsylvania.
You know,
And
that's so kind.
They are award-winning, and his wife is an incredible whiskey bourbon maker. And if you guys are ever down in Nelson County, Virginia, please check out Silverback. Or if you're in Pennsylvania, the best whiskey, and their honey whiskey is our favorite in the house.
Do I have a life? AI, counterterrorism, whiskey,
Seriously.
and Bigfoot
Bigfoot.
stories.
Yes, which is why you're super cool and why we love you.
You're like
So,
a human Mad Libs.
yes. So next time we have you on, Den, we'll talk that on
All
a little
right,
on a
yes, we
lighter
will.
note on BFD
You guys
After
are
Dark.
wonderful. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you
We love
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Bye, Den.
Bye.
And if you guys want to know more and hear more about Denver's January 6th stuff and get more of like an idea of what they're trying to do, seriously, grab his book. I think it's in paperback now. You can go on Amazon, The Breach. It will remind you of what we went through. And also it's a good blueprint for what we're up against now. So as
Yeah.
you see these things coming back. So that's just like a lot.
Past his prologue.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, we're moving on to the next big fucking deal of this program today, because there's a lot going on in the news.
Mhm.
the last couple of days of Epstein information and Ghislaine Maxwell and all of that cannot go unspoken about, because
No.
there's just so much. Because you're going to talk that, I'm going to talk ICE, and then we're going to end the show on the Super Bowl and some recent comments by Megyn Kelly, which I just cannot.
And a
But
little bit of our defense of our Olympians too,
yes,
because it's all tied
oh
together.
yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
but in case anybody missed it, which I don't know how you could miss this, but there's a million moving stories. Ghislaine Maxwell yesterday pled the fifth and said she'd speak fully and honestly if Trump grants her clemency.
No.
Right. Just say that quiet part out loud. Okay. So this is a convicted 20-year sentenced child sex trafficker who was in cahoots with Jeffrey Epstein, was his girlfriend, was one of the chief groomers, snatchers, you whatever you want to call her, monsters. She is refusing. She was before Congress in a closed door virtual deposition yesterday, and refuses to name any names or to give any information or to confirm questions like, was Donald Trump ever involved with underage girls? She pled the fifth, just like Jeffrey Epstein when asked that question, by the way. Right. And she says in exchange for clemency, she will speak freely. And what she also said was that she will basically exonerate Donald Trump. This is a person who gave testimony to Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's former personal defense attorney. And also, by the way, fun fact, Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney now are very good friends. They did podcasts together years ago. I'm sure that's purely coincidental.
Right.
She's refused.
And that's not a conflict of interest.
Not at all.
It was out of all the people in the Department of Justice who could have gone to interview Ghislaine Maxwell in prison, it was Todd Blanche, the number 2, the Deputy Attorney General, who that is not your job to do, by the way. Highly unusual, minus all of the personal relationships. It's like, that's not what the deputy director does. But just so happens, that's nothing wrong with that. Nothing suspicious about that, of course. And then she gets miraculously moved to Club Fed.
Right. And what did she say in her deposition with Todd Blanche? Conveniently, she said she never saw Donald Trump do anything untoward. He was always such a gentleman. I'm doing
that's actually pretty good.
Oh, thank you very much. I don't actually know that that's how she talks, but that's what she said. She said she never saw him do anything bad. He was always such a gentleman, which is ironic, right? Like, and then he, of course, said, totally exonerated. See,
right.
Totally. And then, then they moved her to a Club Fed where now she has a puppy. She also has her own internet access. She has the staff at this prison camp basically waiting on her hand and foot. And there are stories of this prison camp being not too far from a facility or a campground for young girls. Okay, this is what's happening. And she is probably going to get this clemency. That's my gut on this. And that, coupled with what some members of Congress yesterday, many members of Congress yesterday saw some unredacted files, not fully unredacted. They are still asking for more unredactions here, but walking out of these viewings absolutely disgusted Republicans and Democrats alike. And friends, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. How many data points do we need now to prove? We have Lutnick, we have Elon, we have the head of the Navy, we have Trump, we have these clemency deals, and I want to play. Yeah, Sam, let's go to when Lauren Boebert is on the same team,
right?
Like, something's wrong with Anna Paulina Luna. Is that her name?
Yeah.
I can't stand that bitch.
Right.
She's a Russian asset.
Right.
Yeah. But she also said, so let's play real fast. Let's play Boebert and Luna because these are quick.
Congresswoman, are you among the members who got to see the unredacted files today?
Yes, I saw some of them, not all of them, obviously. I'll be going back tomorrow to see more.
Any reaction on what you've seen so far?
I think that there's folks who are definitely implicated and co-conspirators. And, I don't think everyone there that was talking about underage girls being trafficked are victims.
Got it. And do you support any clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? She was saying that she was...
I do not.
Okay.
I think Ghislaine Maxwell should get more time, and she should definitely be in a harsher prison than what she's in.
Quick, you said that you do not support at all Ghislaine Maxwell getting any clemency for her testimony. And why is it important for her to be held accountable?
Well, because according to the files that we all saw, she was engaged in the trafficking and also rape of young women and potentially children. I don't think that she deserves any special treatment. She's a monster.
And are you gonna?
That's pretty damning. That's pretty damning. I mean, that's the most cogent I've ever heard Lauren Boebert sound, actually.
Which, right? Again, remember, and no love for Lauren,
Right.
Beetlejuicing Boebert, but but on this issue, like Nancy Mace, on this issue, they
and Marjorie
dragged
Taylor
her ass
Greene.
and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They
Yep.
dragged Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room. Think about this: the lengths they have gone to make sure that the 38,000 times that we know of that Donald Trump is mentioned in these files, they took her to the Situation Room and put the screws to her to get her not to vote on the release of these files. And she did it anyway. And many Republicans did as well. But look, like, it's also largely these women, these Republican women who are so disgusted. And because I don't know if you saw this, but other people were asked, Moreno was asked, Comer was asked, other people were asked this very question about the clemency. And they're like, that's up to Donald Trump. They pussied out. They couldn't answer this question. Moreno made a joke about a 9-year-old. He made a joke because there are 9-year-olds. They're children.
I saw that
in these files.
Are we talking Bernie Moreno, the senator from Ohio?
Yes, the senator from Ohio who
an
has his
asshole.
own scandals, by the way.
Yes.
Ohio, do the right thing. Let's put Sherrod Brown back in the Senate, please. He was making jokes when he was asked about a 9-year-old in the files, and it's reprehensible. But how many data points? Here's what I think about this. Here's what I think is going on now. Donald Trump and Republicans are treating child sex trafficking and pedophilia like every other Trump scandal. It's drip, 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 drip. Deal with it. Make it, sanitize it, sand it down. There's little mini explosions every day, and they know that eventually they think people will tire of this.
That's true.
I think their calculation on this is both right and wrong, because unlike Prince Andrew, unlike the Princess of Norway, unlike the Lord Underpants in England, unlike people here in private industry and colleges and universities, they're all resigning, getting fired. They're having their titles stripped. But here in the United States, it's the administration. This is Donald Trump. It is his Commerce Secretary, Secretary of the Navy. It is the Doge douchebag. It's all of them. They're all over it 38,000 times. He's mentioned more in the Epstein files than Jesus is in the Bible. That's just Trump.
Yes,
but
that's
no
just Trump.
No accountability here.
Which would take down any other administration.
Right.
You have multiple people, not only the president of the United States himself, but multiple people in the cabinet as well. I mean, Howard Lutnick was testifying today as we speak, getting drilled about this. And he was neighbors with Epstein. And his dumbass, he's got diarrhea of the mouth, this guy. I don't know how he made so much money because he's not very bright.
Laundering
but
it is what they think.
Well, I mean, that would make sense. That would track given everybody else in that orbit. But like, he bragged about how, he was neighbors with him and they were social, but he walked in his house and saw this weird stuff and was kind of like, and he saw a picture, right? Did he say he saw a photo?
No, I think he saw the massage table, or they were talking about
that
massages.
too. Yes, right. And he was like, oh yeah, you should come over for one. And he was kind of like, yeah, no, that was like a creepy vibe or something. But what he left out was that, oh no, he actually did hang out with Epstein more than just that. And he's in the files named a few times. And I think when he made those comments just casually in that interview a few months ago, he never expected those files to see the light of day. I don't think a lot of them did. They were so arrogant. They thought for sure, Pam Bondi and those guys will make sure that we never see them the light of day. They didn't expect that there would actually be a bipartisan effort and passed by Congress and a discharge petition to get it done. Like, they completely underestimated the righteous anger of the American people and the moral compass of a handful, because that's all it took, was a handful of Republicans. And I give Thomas Massie a lot of credit also. He's basically put his whole congressional career on the line to be the thorn in Donald Trump's ass on this whole thing and to stay on top of it. Because he's been on top of it everywhere. And good for him.
Yeah, this happened this morning, right? So this is very interesting because he's still unable to keep up with his own lies. And when I
Yep.
was watching as much of the testimony as I could, I was full disclosure, I was getting my hair done, and anyway, the struggle's real.
It looks good though. It looks good, honey. It looks good.
It's got, yeah. But what he was saying when asked by Van Hollen and Chris Coons and others, when asked about this question, because he did say, "Oh, I walked in there and I instantly knew he was disgusting, and I cut ties with him immediately." I believe that was in like 2005.
Right.
And he was on Epstein Island several years later. There's also business ties that in Midas Touch and others have exposed between the two of them, where they were in business together. But he was on Epstein Island with his family and his young nannies, and maybe 7 years later. And
Crazy.
what he said was, "This is okay, guys. Walk me through this. I don't have a yacht. I don't know. But if I'm cruising around the Caribbean," he's like, "I don't even know how we ended up there. I don't know how me and my nannies, plural, and my kids and my wife ended up on a pedophile's island. Some guy that I know is so bad that I said I cut ties with him years ago because he was disgusting. I don't remember, to the best of my recollection, bullshit, bullshit, right?" And one of his big tells, he was standing behind Trump when they were asked about this question, when all of this was really hitting the fan, and he started laughing hysterically, shoulder shaking, nervous laughter.
Yeah. I that is like such guilty behavior.
Yeah.
And again, he would be out on his ass in any other administration before. I mean, his resignation would be already like handed to him, or you're fired would be handed to him while he's sitting in the congressional hearing.
Right.
Like, "Oh, by the way, I was just fired."
Yeah.
Like this would never have even been but this what's going to happen to him? Nothing.
Even in the first season of this shit show, remember Tactical Pants Scott Pruitt? Remember the HHS secretary? I forget his name. He got fired for flying planes when he shouldn't have. Scott Pruitt got fired for too many expensive hotel lotions and his tactical pant budget.
Right.
Even the first season of this shit show, they were firing people. Now, the thing is, it's by design. Trump needs to surround himself with people who have done the horrible things that he has done, because that insulates him and it normalizes it and it sanitizes it and it makes it look like, here's how I see it too. They're going, "Yeah, okay, we're caught. We raped kids. So what? Now what?
Right.
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?"
And yet, you look what's happening over in Europe right now, and people are losing their jobs left and right. They're losing their, royal titles, and the British Prime Minister may end up losing his job over this because he hired Peter Mendelsohn after he knew that Mendelsohn had involvement with Epstein, and then he said, "I'm so sorry, I believed his lies, and I didn't know it was this bad," and blah blah blah. Well, maybe you should have done a little bit more vetting before you decided to let him back in the circle, unless you didn't want to. I mean, I mean, but at least there's accountability in Europe again, and here. But who knows? Maybe as people continue to put the pressure on, because I think it's important that, yes, to be clear, he was not in the files, right? Keir Starmer was not in the files.
No.
It was because he chose to make Peter Mendelsohn, who is a close ally of Peter Thiel, and also Mendelsohn was caught up with Epstein and all kinds of stuff in his drawers everywhere. Like, there's who was it? There was some Instagram influencer that had, he's a British guy that does like a summary of the news. I forget his account name. I'll have to send it to you. It's hysterical. And he does all these like updates on things, and does it like a 3-minute update. And he had the pictures of Mendelsohn, and he goes, "There's Mendelsohn. No, we need another one when he has on clothes. No, with one with his pants on. Not that one. No, pants on. No, not that one. Not that one." They put up like 7 pictures of him, and he's all like in his underpants. But anyway, so yes, Keir Starmer was not in the files, but it was his decision to make Peter Mendelsohn the ambassador to the U.S. That was a problem, even after he knew of his involvement with Epstein, and he just thought that there was a viable explanation for it, his excuse. So, and the British people are kind of like, I don't know, I don't think so.
I mean, think about the gravity of a prince losing his royal title.
Yeah.
And now King Charles, whatever, is saying, that he will investigate if necessary. And obviously it's necessary. But the standards even here, Brad Karp, for instance, from
Oh
Paul
my
Weiss,
God.
right?
Yes.
Again, we all wondered, boy, why did Paul Weiss capitulate
So fast. Right.
fast?
Right.
Sure, it's fucking weird. Aha. And
Alas.
and Brad Karp I guarantee you, made the exact same calculation that Howard Nutlick did, which was, this will never see the light of day. I'm fine. I'll capitulate and
Yeah.
you'll protect me.
Yep.
And to their credit, Thomas Massey, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. That was it. That was all we needed. That was all we got. None of
Yep.
them are our favorite people on the planet. Lord knows. I don't want to be breaking bread with Thomas Massey posing for Christmas pictures with his family and a bunch of like AR-15s.
Right.
But on this, when they're in the same fight, you got
Yes.
to, you take what you can get. And
Yes.
Liz Cheney ain't my favorite person either. But at the time when she was doing the right thing, but like you're right. We have to keep the pressure on, guys.
Mhm.
We're talking about children. We're
Yes.
talking about the most vulnerable among us. It is our job, first and foremost, as human being adults, to protect our children. And we have to have a red line when it comes to this, if nothing else. And they want us to pretend like this is normal.
Right. And it's not. There's nothing normal about this. When I was a Harvard fellow, I had a class. One of my classes was called No, None of This is Normal. That was in 2020.
Jesus,
Okay. Yes, that was one of my classes.
No, innocent, tender times.
None of this is normal.
Oh, good grief.
And that was before January 6th. That was before the election fraud. That was before the Epstein files. That was before all of this part. Like, it's just crazy. It was anyway.
Back when we were talking about the emoluments clause, like that even mattered, right? Like the emoluments clause has since lit itself on fire and jumped out of a window. Okay,
Yeah,
it's like
alongside the Logan Act,
right,
and half of the Constitution.
Yeah, it's like now we're talking about like killing people in the street. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those gentler, simpler times when all of us was using the White House for the RNC.
Yeah,
Go back in time.
Before the White House lawn became a Tesla showroom. Before we had Big Balls as our top advisor for government efficiencies. Like what?
Like, who would have thought in this civil war that the libs with the left or the progressives or whatever, the Democrats would have ended up with football, guns, and beer. And they would get like electric cars.
Right.
And I don't even know what else they got here.
Right. Like,
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So my BFD. Yeah. Maxwell.
Well, that's an ongoing situation. I'm sure there'll be more BFDs when it comes to this freaking Epstein Maxwell stuff because, did you see? Well, we could talk about this in a second, but the survivors had that incredibly powerful ad during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We're going to talk Super Bowl in a second, but and the Olympics because we got to end. We can't be heavy all the time. So my BFD just quickly is about today. As a matter of fact, you've got a bunch of ICE officials and Border Patrol officials. The immigration cabal is on Capitol Hill testifying, and they're getting their asses dragged, which they should, because obviously this has turned into an absolute mess. Who would have predicted that? Oh, I don't know. Sending a Gestapo force of a bunch of yahoos and Oath Keepers and Proud Boys now in masks to go out and have a whole whopping 47 days to 3 months of training to go out on America's streets dressed like, cosplaying as G.I. Joe.
Give them a budget bigger than the Marines.
Correct. Bigger than the Marines, the Secret Service, the FBI, the Marshals, all of them combined. Okay. And who would have thought that would have ended badly? So they're being grilled right now. But another story that I think people need to pay attention to is what's still happening with the detentions. We saw the moral victory of getting, little Liam Ramos and his dad out of that hellhole in Dilley down there in Texas. And that came from the pressure of the American people and exposing what's going on. That one photograph of that poor little boy in his bunny hat being led off by federal agents and being used as bait. That upset a lot of people. And because of that, attention stayed on him. And now he's out. But they're trying to deport him. They're trying to expedite deportation of little Liam Ramos and his family, who was not here illegally. They were here on a righteous asylum case and going through all the process the way that they claimed. How is that the worst of the worst? It's not. So these things are getting exposed because there are people out here that are continuing, regular Americans that are going out there filming what's going on. Now, you shouldn't have to lose your life over it. But people are still out there in the streets saying, we're not going to let this happen. Well, it's still happening in multiple places. And just because Tom the Mushmouth Homan is out here now on the case, mumbling his way through briefings and trying to bring a different posture than little Peen Bovine, who's now out, they, wherever he is, they should go for that guy's pension.
Back
but that's
on the
another,
lollipop field.
he should be brought up on charges and they should take his pension. But that's in a different lifetime. Maybe they will. I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll get to that in
maybe
between.
Maybe we shall. But what's happening is these detention centers are incredibly cruel. They're poorly run. And there's like two companies. One of them is the Geo Group that runs these detention centers across the country. It's part of the private prison industry, part of this whole prison industrial complex where all their stocks went through the roof when Donald Trump was elected because there had been backdoor promises that they're going to get these contracts because the whole mass deportation thing that they told us they were going to do, that Donald Trump said during the election multiple times that they were going to engage in mass deportations, which was a nod and a wink to the private prison industry that you're going to get those contracts. And it was, I think $50,000 in the Kava bag for Holman was selling access because he used to be a consultant for the Geo Group, and Pam Bondi was a lobbyist for the Geo Group. Google it, folks. The Geo Group is one of those groups, one of those companies whose stock went up. They got a multi-billion-dollar contract about a year ago right now, in the first couple of weeks of Donald Trump coming into office, to expand the beds for immigration detention. And they also were the ones who ran the detention center in Jersey where Monica McIver got arrested, and she's still being prosecuted for that bullshit. Okay. They're also the ones in Michigan that they're trying to build more these large detention centers. Also, Joe, you and I were talking about this, that in Jersey and other places where there's these big warehouses that are empty, they're bragging about turning them into Amazon style warehouse facilities for people. Okay, so if these are not internment / concentration camps, I don't know what are in today's standards. I mean, what's happening? And the conditions in these facilities are atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. There are complaints about, I think, Joe, you actually sent this story, Sam, I think we have it loaded, about what's going on in Dilley, Texas, where Liam Ramos was detained, that the children in Dilley who were so distraught, that they're so distraught because the conditions are so bad, that they cut themselves or talked about suicide. Several mothers told the writer of the story. Recently, 2 cases of measles were discovered in the center. Federal officials said they quarantined some immigrants, and attorneys said ICE canceled in-person legal visits until February 14th, quote, as a safety precaution. This is just the tip of the iceberg in one facility. That was also the place where you could hear kids screaming, "Let us out, let us out." And there was a lawyer, a legal representative, who went on his Instagram and said, I was just inside meeting with clients after it took us days to get in to meet our clients. And they finally let us in. I was meeting with some clients, and then they ushered us out without explanation, threw us all out of the facility, and they put it on lockdown. And he was standing outside, and you could hear the kids in the courtyard chanting, "Let us out." Absolutely heartbreaking. This is in the United States of America. What the fuck are we doing? And who, I think it was Joaquin Castro and Jasmine Crockett, actually, who went to that facility and toured it and talked about what was going on and helped facilitate that release of Liam Ramos and his dad. And I mean, there's also a story that just came out in Baltimore the facility being run in Baltimore, about how people are lying in their own feces and their own vomit and urine because no one's cleaning it up, that they're not getting showers, that women are not getting access to sanitary products, they're giving them diapers. And then they're not giving them proper ways to dispose of them and clean themselves up. This is in an American city in 2026. How is this okay? This is a violation. You don't even treat prisoners of war like this.
No. And this is the party that will tell you that they are pro-life, that they protect kids, that they are the ones who fight for the unborn. But they will let these human beings, and in many cases these children, there's a ProPublica story out right now about what's happening at Dilley to these kids in their own words. And in fact, right now in Congress, Aaron Rupar just posted this. One of the Democratic lawmakers is reading some of these letters from 7, 9, 12-year-old kids.
Oh my God.
I'm going to read this one excerpt. When I arrived every night, I cried, and now I don't sleep well. I felt that being here was my fault, and I only wanted to be on vacation like a normal family. 9-year-old Maria Antonia Guerrera Montoya, detained on her way to Disney World, has been there for 113 days. 113 days, guys. I'll try and put this in the chat. Sam, I don't know if you can put this link to this ProPublica. There are drawings that these children drew detailing what is torture. And when Castro and Crockett went to Dilley and saw Liam, he had been sleeping all day long. He's 5 years old, and
he was like despondent.
Yeah, he wasn't eating, he wasn't sleeping because of the trauma. And when you think about the trauma they are inflicting on these children, and you couple that with a party that calls itself the advocates for families and for children, and it's just, the hypocrisy is astounding. But the last thing I'll say about this is that we've talked about this before, but when I was reading Anne Frank as a kid, I remember I was annoying to all my teachers because I kept asking them, what did the good Germans do? Well, how were regular German citizens not screaming about this, not calling this out, not fighting against this? It never made sense to me. And now we're living it. We are living it. They're trying to take over a warehouse in Roxbury, New Jersey, which is very close to my home. And I'm watching people there lining up for miles to go and say, no, not here. And that's what we need more of. And we need this story to be bigger. We need to blow this up. Again, how many times do they have to abuse children? How many?
Right. I mean, if it's not pedophilia, it's cruel. It's the cruelty here of detaining children.
Yeah.
First of all, just detaining them to begin with, but secondly, under these types of conditions is not acceptable. And I want to remind people, we're paying for this.
Yeah, that too.
This is coming from American tax dollars.
Yep.
And I hope that in the midterms, that Democrats reframe a lot of these injustices as not just identity politics or whatever other stupid terms that the right likes to put against, people on the left to say, oh, it's identity politics, it's race baiting, it's enough. Now, fuck all that. Okay. Turn it around. Use Republican arguments against themselves, because they used to be the party of fiscal responsibility. To your point, Joe, they used to be the party of family values. Challenge the hypocrites in these Christian churches and these Christian pastors and these mega churches that are all up Donald Trump's ass saying that he's been sent from God. Okay. Challenge them and say, is this what it says in the Bible? Is this how it says you're supposed to treat your immigrant neighbors? Is this a good use of taxpayer money? I thought that we were going after the worst of the worst, the gang members. What happened to Trent de la Agua, whatever the hell they were called, or, all these gangs that are flooding the country with fentanyl? And where are they? Because as far as I saw, it said the report came out from DHS that only 14% of the people who've been arrested actually had criminal records.
Yeah.
14%. How does Liam Ramos and this poor little 9-year-old girl on her way to fucking Disney World pose a national security threat to me or you and her family?
Right. It's to dehumanize. Right.
Of course it is, because it's not about what they're claiming. It's about the Stephen Millers of the world who get hard-ons on the idea of ethnic cleansing, if he can. Okay.
Yeah.
If mushrooms could be upright. Like this is what they're doing. Right. And we cannot let them get away with this and
No.
say that this is just some kind of normal debate. No, our tax dollars are paying for the systemic cruelty and dehumanization of an entire group of people in this country that is against what we are supposed to believe in as Americans. And this is what we're paying for to do. Why are we giving 1 red cent to any of these efforts over healthcare, cancer research, the Department of Education? Go down the list of the things that Doge claimed that we needed to get rid of in order to have fiscal responsibility. But we have a multi-hundred billions dollar budget to this bullshit that's imprisoning 9-year-olds on their way to Disney World and making them eat food with maggots in it.
Maggots, yeah. And just ask yourself this question. What on earth do they need a facility that holds up to 9,500 people for? What do they need 8,500 beds for? What? Really?
Right.
If you again, open your eyes. And I know everybody here in this chat, except for the trolls who can fuck off all day long. That I know we know what's happening here, but there's not 8,500 beds in just one of these facilities just for the worst of the worst.
Right.
It's not going to stop. First they came for, guys. Like that's the blueprint.
Right.
And they want us to be numb to the cruelty. They want us to be uninformed about what is happening. This story is about the kids in particular is finally getting some traction.
Yes.
And people are disgusted.
They should be.
As they should be. We need more outrage about all of this.
And we need people in Congress when it's time for these bills, right? The Democrats should stand firm and say, no, sorry, I'm not voting to fund or opening the government back up. To fund this. I do not think it's a good use of the American taxpayers' dollars to imprison 9-year-olds and 5-year-olds who are who are living their lives legally in this country.
Right.
That is not. We can all agree that the worst of the worst target those operations. You don't need warehouses to detain people and children to do that. So absolutely the fuck not.
No. And props, by the way, I don't give them props often, but I will say that while I was skeptical and wary of peeling back the ICE funding and giving them another 2 weeks, they did manage the Democrats to separate it out from the other shutdowns.
Yes.
And so that the Republicans couldn't hang that albatross on their necks now like they did the last time, even though the shutdown was their fault, the Republicans' fault the last time. The Democrats at least learned a lesson here because DHS is massively, massively unpopular. ICE is massively, massively unpopular. And so just peeling that one thing away to say to the American people, we don't want to use your tax dollars. We know you don't want to use your tax dollars to fund this. I know they hopefully will continue to hold that line because I don't expect concessions from Republicans, but they also know the writing is on the wall when it comes to this particular department.
Of course. Well, all they have to do, and then we'll go on to our Olympics and our athletics BFD, our culture of BFD.
Yeah.
All they have to do is frame it like this. We Democrats, I'm sorry, I don't believe that using taxpayer dollars to force 5-year-olds and 9-year-olds to eat maggots in a detention camp on American soil is over the American people who are losing, the millions of Americans who are losing healthcare and access to healthcare and losing their health insurance subsidies is a good decision to make. If you Republicans want to run on that, you would rather have American taxpayer money go toward making 9-year-olds eat maggot-infested food, then good luck with that. We're the party that's fighting for the American people to have access to healthcare, affordable, X, Y, and Z. Just go down the list. That's how you frame it. Turn it around on them. You're the party of fiscal responsibility, so you claim. You're the party of family values, so you claim. Defend this.
Right.
Because I'm not going to, because I think it's atrocious. We're the party that's going to X, Y, and Z. That's how you do it. Force the Republicans to defend this shit.
Exactly.
Put them on the record.
Yep. 100%. And by the way, I'm
Yep.
sure you saw this, but Donald Trump's tariffs have cost the average American family $1,000.
Thousand. Yep.
$1,000 additional. Anybody out there got $1,000 laying around? Because I
Yeah.
don't. I don't.
Right.
I don't.
But
Yeah.
come on, Joe, everything's great. Didn't you see the
Yeah.
White House statement today? Don't believe what you hear. Don't believe your own
Right.
pockets. We're the best economy. We're the hottest country in the world. Everything's great.
Yeah, it's so hyperbolic to call this shit Orwellian. That's yeah. Anyway, yeah, but like, ugh. Let's pivot to the close.
Yes,
because-
we got to talk, because we went a little long today because we had Denver and it was fun, but we cannot leave you guys today without talking about the Super Bowl on Sunday. The Olympics are going on, which I freaking love, because it's not every day I start talking about like triple axel sow cows and like big air, like all this stuff. Everybody becomes like a Winter Olympics
yes.
expert.
Yes.
But it's I love the Olympics, but there's so much happening between the Olympics and the Super Bowl. The Bad Bunny halftime show still has MAGA flipping out. I believe the number was 141 million people watched the Bad Bunny halftime show. Most watched ever by a lot. And you had Bad Bunny and that beautiful display of Latin culture and love and joy, and just all of it was an absolutely incredible production. I've never seen anything like that. It should definitely win an Emmy. Versus Kid Rock in his jorts. Okay. What?
By the way, it was pre-taped and the audience was paid. And y'all
watched with the lip sync.
No. And then he tried to defend it. He tried to defend that. It was like the George Costanza. I was in the pool. Yeah. Like he's like, oh, I was jumping around like a rabid monkey and my tech team, whatever, couldn't keep up with me. No. The music with your voice was playing and your lips were not moving.
That's not how this works.
Billy and Vanilli called. And they say bullshit. Kid. By the way, Kid Rock's last hit is old enough to rent a car. Okay?
Right.
We're talking about
right. That was actually a good song. I will say that the All Summer Long song was actually pretty good. But I mean, Kid Rock, dude, he was, and again, the hypocrisy. Okay. He had a song talking about underage girls.
Yep, he did. In fact,
right? They call it statutory. I call it mandatory.
Mandatory. That's correct. I like him young. That's what he said. Yes.
Between him and Nicki Minaj, okay, and her, and she's like a professional whore in her whole music persona. Okay, the things she talked about, right? Wasn't even here illegally. I wasn't even here legally, by the way. Didn't vote, and she said like when I guess she was like, I can't vote because I'm not a legal citizen. But she's embraced. Kid Rock is embraced. Turning Point USA. Okay, with the. Okay, Erica Kirk and the whole virtue signaling like that. That's who they are rallying around. But they're upset about Bad Bunny because he's the biggest artist in the world and speaks Spanish. And he's American.
He is American. And by the way, I'm old enough to remember when an Italian opera singer sang in Italian in the Oval Office in front of the cooked shrimp, Dark Hands himself. Because that's what you do when you sing in the language you speak, is that you sing it in the language you speak.
Yes.
But boy, oh boy, are these snowflakes triggered. They needed a safe space circle jerk to have the world's worst karaoke concert. Because
in shorts.
In shorts. Because the Spanish-speaking American gave them a sad, and then he gave a performance, by the way, that was all about love and beauty and creation and artistry and celebration and culture. And like I said, love. His closing message was
Mhm.
that love is stronger than hate.
Yep.
And if you're triggered, I wrote a whole Substack about this. If
Yes.
you find yourself triggered by the words love, respect, like there's a problem because you're doing something wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
And what it was that he would not make himself small for the haters, and that he didn't decide to sneer back in their faces, but he
Yep.
decided to take the high road, to take
Yes.
the road of love and light and beauty and creation and celebration. And that
Mhm.
triggers them because it's easier for them to be like, oh, look at this person who doesn't love America. On the contrary, that is as American as it gets.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
all the descendants, unless you are Native American, we are all the descendants of people who came here from other shores.
That is correct.
And we see that echoed in what is happening with our Olympians right now.
Mhm.
Because in my lifetime, Tara, I never, ever, ever in my lifetime imagined, and I know our friend Michelle Kinney would say never suffer from a lack of imagination, but I
Yep.
never imagined a sitting president of the United States would attack our Olympians during the Olympics. He called Hunter Hess, he called one of our skiers a real loser. And
This is just so for those who don't see the graphic, I'll read it. This is from Variety. Olympic skier Hunter Hess, has responded because
this
Donald
is a
Trump called him
response.
right. Donald
We
Trump.
have the tweet of Trump too.
Yeah, do we
Sorry.
have the tweet? Can we put that up first? The tweet
Yes,
from
and let's
Trump.
show what Trump said about him. We could also play real fast what
Oh,
Hunter
do we have the
said.
cut? That's even better. Let's play the
Yeah.
Got
audio
mixed
of Hunter.
emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
That's all he said.
That's all he
That's what he
said,
said.
which I think is pretty American to do when the freedom to dissent, to have your own opinions, to express yourself. That is as American as apple pie. And then Donald Trump, of course, came out and said, U.S. Olympic skier Hunter Hess, a real loser, said he doesn't represent his country in the current Winter Olympics. If that's the case, he shouldn't have tried out for the team. And it's too bad he's on it. Very hard to root for someone like this. Make America great again. Okay, first of all, you don't try out like that. No, you compete, you earn it.
Right.
But Donald
Not
Trump's
fucking
fucking fat
apprentice.
ass would never know about that because he's never had to compete or sacrifice for anything ever. So he has no concept of what that's like. And he secretly, Joe, you and I have talked about this before. He's so jealous of these people who are extraordinary because he has been so unextraordinary his whole life. He's been nothing but a mediocre, silver-spooned little fuck his entire life that he just cannot. He's so envious of people who are revered for their discipline, their extraordinary athleticism, their accomplishments, whether it's the military to Olympic athletes. He can't stand it, so he denigrates them.
Yeah. And
Wish
one thing
he had them.
And one thing to add to that, one thing that he needs to do because of that insecurity that nags at him, that eggshell fragile ego thing is he needs to make people who are genuinely accomplished.
Yeah.
He needs to keep them under his thumb. He needs
Right.
to make them comply. He needs to make them a la Chris Christie eat the meatloaf, right?
Right.
That's what he needs to do because that's how he self-soothes. So to see a young, very cute, by the way, I'm just gonna
Yes.
say,
Good
he's
hair.
like that,
It's got good
right?
hair.
Very good hair. He's like giving me young Jason Bateman or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Like but the whole
Yes.
Jason Bateman
Who also
thing,
has good hair.
perpetually young. But he couldn't make that young skier say something that wasn't true. He couldn't make that young skier say, I love representing everything about the United States of America. Go Ice. I hope that they shoot more Americans in the street. I'm super proud of everything that's going on in my country right now. And I know that all of you reporters are like, what the fuck is going on in your country right now? But I need to say, because Donald Trump told me to, that everything is perfect. We're the hottest country in the world. But he can't get him to do that. And so that makes him a loser because to your exact point, he's already envious of him. So when he can exert his own power as a really deeply, deeply inadequate, incompetent idiot. He doesn't get to do that in this case. And so therefore, this is a loser. And side point, the United States government does not fund our Olympians, by the way. We're one
That's
of the
right.
few countries in the world that does not actually financially back our
Nope.
Olympic teams. It is private donations and the
Corporate
donations of everyday
sponsorships.
corporate
Yep.
sponsorships. And so therefore, he officially has nothing to do with Donald Trump's regime. Nothing.
That's correct. And his response
Oh, correct.
was even better. You can put it back up, Sam. Now we can read it. And good for him.
Yeah.
He said Olympic skier Hunter Hess has responded to Trump calling him, quote, a real loser for saying he had mixed feelings about representing the U.S. Quote, I love my country, he said. There's so much that is great about America, but there are always things that could be better. One of the many things that makes this country so amazing is that we have the right and the freedom to point that out.
Yeah. I dropped my soda. Yeah. I was so
Amen, Hunter Hess.
my soda. Yes.
Exactly.
All
That
of
is
that.
the exact right response. And
Yes.
good for you. We're all rooting for you. And Donald Trump and JD Vance, who got booed, by the way, at the Olympics, and you saw NBC edited it out on the rebroadcast, which again, cowards.
Yeah.
But these are moral first responders that I talk about all the time. People like him and people like others who have still decided to stand up and speak out and do the right thing when it matters the most. So good for him. You know who has not done the right thing? Megyn Kelly.
I'm getting paper towels.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Megyn Kelly. I don't know if you guys saw, but she was very, very upset about Bad Bunny, shocker, and the at the halftime show. And do we have the clip of what she said, Sam?
That kind of football is ours. They call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially American. Not Spanish, not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
Really? Really, Megyn? Really? First of all, Megyn, get a sandwich, okay? Because you're hangry, okay? Maybe get yourself some meatloaf. Maybe get yourself some fried chicken. Maybe get yourself some apple pie. First of all,
ice cream.
Right? First of all, there's so much about that is so fucking performative.
So much.
Right. But also there's a lot of it that's, based in truth, I'm sure, because remember, Megyn Kelly got fired from NBC for being a blatant racist way back in the day. But give me a break, please. Just please take your bony skellahore ass and march it elsewhere, okay? But we don't have an official language in the United States, as peers pointed out to you, by the way. And the tapestry, the mosaic that is the United States of America includes everyone, including Bad Bunny, including lots of people who've come from lots of countries to play in American football, and lots of people from around the world who enjoy American football. And if you're threatened by that, it really says more about you than it does about any of that. And really quit it with the histrionics. Nobody is fucking buying your bullshit, you thirsty ass, washed up fucking racist, hateful hack.
Fuck off, Megyn Kelly. Signed, JoJo and Tara.
Mwah. Come, if you want, Meg, come on our show and we'll say it to your fucking face.
Yes. I would be
you
glad
a chocolate
to.
chip for dessert so you can celebrate by splurging.
Yeah, there you go. And maybe we'll even send her a meatloaf. I mean, my
Stop
God.
right there. That one's dead, though.
He was also my godfather. That will be a conversation for another show. Yes.
Wait, I feel like I knew that.
Yes. My mom was in show business. They were best friends. And when my mom had me at 21, Meatloaf and her were still friends. And she said, would you be this before he was a big star? But yes. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but they lost touch, and then I never got to meet him and all that. But then he blew up and became a big star, and then also kind of a jerk. But yeah, so that's
so cool, man.
Yeah, well, little known facts about me.
You're like that's fun. That's Before we go any further, do you love me? Will you love me forever? Do
I
you
would
love
do
me?
anything for a cheeseburger. All right, guys.
I spilled soda all over my computer.
I hope. Well, it's still functioning. We didn't lose you for
Yeah.
the show.
No.
My money is on JoJo. Yeah, everyone's like, Joe would kick Megan's ass. Yeah, my money is on Joe, and you know, we're from Jersey, so does she really want to go there? No. And I was friends with Megyn Kelly at one point, and she is. I don't know who this person is. This wasn't. I don't know what happened to her, and so it's right again. Yeah, exactly. She needs some protein. And not that kind of protein.
I was gonna say maybe she should start watching Bigfoot Erotica.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us on our inaugural edition of Big Fucking Deal with Tara and Joe. We will be here. That's okay. We went over today. There was a lot to get going, but we will do this every Tuesday at noon. So we hope that you guys come back to join us to find out what Joe and I think is a big fucking deal. And we want to hear from you. I saw some of the good ones in the chat today. Thank you. We'll when we don't go over, we'll do a better job of putting those on screen and reading some of them. But I do want to acknowledge that someone's called John Frauderman, which I thought was hilarious. And we'll find a way to use that on another day.
I'm going to steal that and put it on my socials. Totally.
Yes. John Frauderman.
I don't know what he does now, but I'm sure it's not good.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We will see you on the next edition of Big Effing Deal. Please like and subscribe if you have not. Make sure you follow us on the Siren. Make sure you follow us on our Substacks. Make sure you follow us on all the socials. And if you have not, please like and subscribe. And
don't forget to go to the Seneca Project. Do not forget to go to senecaproject.us, correct? That's the website?
Yes.
And support them because they're creating incredible content. And we live in a visual economy right now. And video content speaks volumes and it travels really far. And it's super easy to share. And it's one of the easiest ways to get information out to people in a way that's easily digestible and makes the biggest impact. So senecaproject.us, please do. Go there, support them.
Thank you.
It makes all the difference in the world.
Thank you. Love you, Joe. We'll see you guys next week.